Before we get started with today's show, I want to get more people following me on my social media pages. I got my X at Jeremy Chuggs. I made a brand new IG at Texans Today CS, and I know it might be a little embarrassing, but I just made a new TikTok at Jeremy Chuggs, so go give me a follow over there. More Texans content, more Texans stuff for you all year long, so there's no downside. Just go give me a follow on all these platforms. I'll give you a follow back, a little converse. My DMs are always open. Go hit me up on social media. Coming up on today's show, the top free agents remaining that the Texans could be interested in. Is there a missing piece that's still out there that Nick Caserio, DeMeco Ryans could look at to start this year? But before we get going, I want to know, is there any area of concern that you have around this Texans roster? I know we're going to be talking about a lot of free agents coming up on today's show, but I want to know, do the Texans even need to sign anybody? I was here talking with our Lions host, Mike, just a second ago. We're saying Lions-Texans Super Bowl, but do we have any concerns before the year? Is there anything that we need to get better at before this season starts? Let me know down in the comments section if there's any position group that concerns you the most on this Texans team. What is it? I'll be looking down below in the comment section. As for me, the top concerns that I have, and this isn't in any particular order whatsoever. Allie put it in this order if you want to blame anybody. But thank you, producer Allie, for the laugh. I don't get a ton of those. But first up, we have cornerback, and not the starting cornerback. It's the cornerback depth for me. Because behind Kamari Lassiter, behind Derek Stingley, don't have a ton of faith in the rest of these guys. So the best free agent available, and he's been linked to the Texans all off season long, is Xavien Howard. I know if you Google Xavien Howard, he had some weird stuff come up a little bit ago, but I'm telling you right now, Xavien Howard, adding him to this Texans depth chart, which I really think Xavien Howard added to this Texans depth chart really could help us out, really could, add something to this team, in my opinion, because like I said, you have the top guys in Derek Stingley Jr. You also have Kamari Lassiter, the rookie, who I think is going to be fantastic. I put it out on my Twitter a couple days ago. He's going to be the best rookie cornerback in this year's draft class. Mark my words on that. Kamari Lassiter will be that, but if he gets injured, if Derek Stingley gets injured, I don't have a ton of faith in the guys behind them. You have Miles Bryant, Jeff Okudah, Chris Boyd, which, okay, they're very, okay depth. They're more special teams guys, but I don't want any of those guys starting outside corner for me. God forbid something happens to Stingley or Lassiter. So I wouldn't mind adding somebody like an Xavien Howard to give me a little bit more faith in this team. Also, with the rookie and Kamari Lassiter, adding another veteran in this cornerback room could possibly help him develop even more than he has so far during training camp in the preseason, because a guy like Xavien Howard, he brings a lot to the table. Obviously, this past year, a little bit down. He started in 13 games, but you look back in 2020, 2021, 15 combined interceptions in those 2 years. I think he would be a good addition to this Texans cornerback room. Now, moving to another spot in the secondary, I'm talking safety now, where I really thought the Texans would be in on signing somebody, which I'm okay that they didn't sign. I'm okay with them that they didn't sign Justin Simmons, because I think that means they have a ton of faith in their rookie out of USC in Kalen Bullock. But behind him, Eric Murray, MJ Stewart, a lot of injury issues in this room. Also, Jimmy Ward. So why not go out and add a guy, maybe on a vet min, and somebody in Micah Hyde? He's somebody who I think the Texans could add and maybe bring something to this safety room, bring some more veteran presence. I know Jimmy Ward has been good for this team, and I think he will continue to be good for this team, but he missed a lot of time last year, and so did MJ Stewart, so did Eric Murray. So adding another guy to the safety room like a Micah Hyde possibly could be another good move. Now, I did have some other names in mind whenever it came to the safety position. Adrian Amos was released this week. He's somebody that the Texans signed last year towards the end of the season when they were in a pinch and needed some safety help. So that could be another option if you're looking at a safety for this team. I don't hate the safety room. I don't think it's a weak position on the team, but the depth does concern me a little bit, especially with the injury history. I mean, hey, MJ Stewart missed practice today, so that's one guy from that safety room right there that's already dealing with injury issues. If that is the case, if you need to put him on short-term IR, which you can do now that the 53-man roster is set, you can now place more players on short-term IR. If that happens, I would look for the Texans to possibly sign a guy like a Micah Hyde or an Adrian Amos if it comes down to it. Now, coming up, I have some more free agent options for the Texans if they're looking to find that missing piece on this 53-man roster. But I couldn't do today's show. The lights wouldn't even be on in this place if it wasn't for our amazing sponsors over at Factor Meals. Hey, this body doesn't make itself. It's a body made by Factor Meals. I've recently been trying to get on track with my health, and today's sponsor, Factor Meals, has been a huge help. Meet your wellness goals in time for football season thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always find time to have a amazing, nutritious meal with Factor. Make today the day that you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals with ingredients that you can trust, and keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready, like I said, in just 2 minutes, so no shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning. Head to factormeals.com/TexansChat50 and use code TexansChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code TexansChat50 at factormeals.com/TexansChat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Get started with Factor today. Now, another concern that I have around this Texans team, and I know it's, a lot on the defensive side right here. We'll get to the offense in just a moment, but it is the defensive tackle room. And this one was a little bit of a toughie because free agent-wise, there's not a lot out there. I mean, Lawrence Guy was the best that I could come up with, honestly, whenever it came to the defensive tackle room. Last year, 38 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. He has that connection with Caserio back from his time. He was a former New England Patriot, so a little bit of a connection there. And while DeMeco Autry is out on suspension, Kurt Heinisch on short-term IR, you look at the rest of this defensive line, you have Foley Fudakasi, who I feel good in. Mario Edwards Jr. is going to be that other starter. You have Khalil Davis, Tim Settle Jr., who could step in at defensive tackle. So maybe you want to bolster that room. Now, it is to be noted, and stay tuned for tomorrow, because not the entire list, because it's going to be fluid throughout the entire year, but once we get almost all of the Texans practice squad together, I'm going to make a video for you on that tomorrow. But spoiler alert, Marcus Harris, the 2024 7th-round pick who didn't make the initial 53-man roster, he's on the practice squad. So that might be a good option if the Texans are in a pinch. They need to elevate somebody. I really liked Harris in preseason and training camp. I was a little shocked that he didn't make the initial 53-man roster. But that's another option that the Texans could look at if they want to add some depth to this defensive tackle room. And lastly, I promised you offensive football. Now we got it. The big boys on the interior of the offensive line. Now, it's not a huge concern for me because I actually like some of the depth pieces they have. But with Kenyon Green being injured all last season, Kendrick Green injured as well. He was, injured in practice earlier this week. Maybe you want to add somebody on the interior. Jarrett Patterson was injured last year, so was Juice Scruggs. So if you're looking to add somebody, I think one of the good names that you could possibly add as a depth piece is Mason Cole. He plays center, can play guard a little bit. 17 games played last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 sacks allowed. Could be a good option if, somebody gets injured like a Kendrick Green and needs to miss an extended period of time. I could see the Texans looking to sign a guy like Mason Cole. That's all I have for you on today's video. Hope you enjoyed your time. And if you did, hey, you made it to the end of the video. Why not go down and hit that sub button to join the most informative, most fun-loving, best-looking Texans channel on YouTube, thanks to Factor Meals. Go down and hit that sub button right now and join the over 16,000 rowdy Texans fans who use this channel for their Texans news and rumors every single day.